Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Stephen Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found, and of course, taped live these days, both at the YouTube and over at our Twitch at twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. The Royal Rumble 2023 is in the books. Ooh. First of all, I want to give a shout out to everybody who joined us on YouTube and Twitch. Shout out to the Enforcer for hanging out with us during probably one of the most compelling pro wrestling pay-per-view endings, premium live events endings. One of the most important story beats of probably the most important story from a storytelling standpoint in pro wrestling.
In the history of wrestling. Yeah, this is the most compelling ending to any show that I could think of since when Ciampa turned on Gargano.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, this outdid that by tenfold.
It did. Yes.
Man,
because instead of just being the beginning of that story, now we're entering probably the third act to this particular story.
Right. Yeah. Man, where to begin? So let's talk about the big story beat we saw at the end of the night. Let's just start there.
I think that's where we need to start.
Because the Bloodline is, like we said, is the most compelling thing. And we had a terrific show. We had a terrific Rumble. And I'll sort of loop this in. So Cody Rhodes won the men's Rumble. There was, a lot of chatter beforehand in the days leading up about the possibility of Sami Zayn winning the Rumble, given that he's so over right now. He had an interview with Ariel Helwani just recently, yesterday, day before, where he talked about, he was asked, if you don't win the Rumble, are fans going to be upset? And he had a wonderfully diplomatic, and I think probably he claimed in the interview that he just shows up and they tell him what to do.
Yeah.
But I think understanding what they were going to do and how they were going to structure the show tonight, you understand what he's talking about. Because he basically said the fans, and I'm going to paraphrase here, the fans give the product a bit more benefit of the doubt. He didn't say this, but during the Triple H era than they did during the Vince McMahon era, when Daniel Bryan forced them to change plans.
For WrestleMania 30,
And he said, if it's not me, then I think fans are going to be satisfied regardless because they're invested in the story. And we saw exactly what happened tonight. It was dropped earlier from Fightful that the men's Rumble was going to start the show tonight. And it did. Earlier in the night, we saw during the kickoff stuff, Roman Reigns tell Sami Zayn, stick by my side.
He said, Usos, you're staying backstage. Excuse me. Sami, you're with me. This is your night, is what Roman told him.
So immediately, Sammy's has no reason to be in the Rumble. They had declared, also smartly, had declared like 28 of the men's Rumble participants. So there's only a couple, there's just a small amount of room.
I think there's 2 or 3 that were unannounced,
Right, so Sammy's sort of out of it. You allow the men's Rumble to take place free of anything involving the Bloodline. And yet Gunther put in a phenomenal
star-making performance. I mean, we already consider him a star, but for main roster audiences,
a phenomenal performance where he runs the entire thing. It's down to Gunther and Cody Rhodes, and they basically have like a 10-minute match. A really good one too. Cody wins. Crowd is huge because of the strength of the men's Rumble match. It was a really good Rumble.
It was a really good. There's a lot of interweaving stories. It was fantastic. It was really fantastic.
Fast forward, then you have Bianca Alexa. You have the lights out match, or the pitch black match. You got the women's Rumble, and then you have your main event. So there's really no hint of Bloodline until the finale, until the main event, and so the story beat we knew was going to be big, and this story beat was big enough to completely divorce ourselves, in my opinion, at least for me, that there needs to be a Sami involvement in the Rumble at all. I don't know how they're going to proceed in terms of, are they going to split the titles before Mania? Is it going to be, is Cody going to in fact take on Roman Reigns for both titles at WrestleMania? We don't know. We just don't know at this point.
Another thing we should mention is that no Rock tonight.
And no Rock tonight,
and no Rock. So you would expect if Rock was going to be the opponent at Mania, it would have made sense. Having the undisputed title match in the main event led us to believe one of two things: either it'd be a huge story beat with the Bloodline and Sami stuff, or the Rock was going to be there. That was the only really two things I could justify having that be the main event over one of the Rumbles. And you most certainly got a story beat that justified it being there. So I guess we can get into that after the match, after Roman gets the win on Kevin Owens, after he obliterates Kevin Owens, throws him multiple times head first into the ring steps, hits him with the spear, gets the win.
Yeah.
Usos, Solo, they come to the ring, and pretty much immediately they start beating down Kevin Owens. They handcuff him to the ropes.
Yeah.
Usos deliver, I don't know, a dozen super kicks to Kevin Owens while he's handcuffed to the ropes.
Yeah.
Roman picks up a chair. And the whole time the Usos are laying into Kevin Owens, Sami's like, he wants to stop them, but he knows he can't.
The acting was phenomenal.
Yeah, this is Emmy quality acting.
It really is.
If he had been nominated for an Oscar, if this was a movie, yeah. And so, he'll reach his hand out, kind of quietly tell him, that's fine. You don't need to do anymore. So eventually, Roman gets the chair. He's about to hit Owens with it. Sami steps in front of him.
Yeah.
And Sami says to him, it's done. You don't have to do this. This is beneath you.
This is beneath you, yeah.
This is beneath you. You're the champion. We're done with Kevin Owens. You don't need to do this anymore. And Roman says to him, I shouldn't, but you should, then hands the chair to him.
Yeah.
And so Roman, expecting Sami to comply, turns to Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
And Sami starts to maneuver behind Roman. And you instantly get flashbacks to Seth turning on the Shield.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And so Roman turns around because he senses what's going on.
Yeah.
And he starts berating Sami. He gets in his face. He pushes him. And at one point, Sami
the phenomenal crowd is just raining down Sami chants. Yeah.
Yeah. And Sami, for a mere second, just a brief second, stands up for himself and gets right in Roman's face. Then he backs down.
Yeah. What's great about this, I just want to point this out really quick. The posture of Sami Zayn. Mm-hmm. He does the Christopher Reeve Superman thing where he's Clark Kent, he has a slump.
Yeah.
And when he's Superman, he stands tall. And for that brief second that you're talking about, Sami stood, because he's basically, he's maybe an inch shorter than Roman, but when he stands tall, he's right there with him.
Yeah. 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 And so, again, Roman thinking again, all right, he said to Sami, what, you want to go back to doing jackass matches?
He said, you want to go back to doing jackass shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He is just completely burying everything Sami Zayn has done in WWE prior to joining the Bloodline.
Yeah.
And again, he thinks, all right, Sami's going to comply now. He turns his back again. And Sami builds up the fortitude, blasts Roman in the back with the chair. Roman, again, hearkening back to the Shield turn.
Even the way betrayed the Shield. The way he fell.
Even the way he fell.
Yeah.
Roman's got a huge thing with betrayal these days.
Yeah. And you see, and after he gets hit, when he sort of recovers from it, so Sami goes to the Usos and said, I'm sorry. I had no choice. I had to do this. And Roman is reliving the trauma in his head. He's sitting, he's almost in the fetal position. He's sitting there, just sitting on the mat, like with his hands in his head, with his head in his hands.
Yep. He's going back to that moment and Seth betrayed him. And so Jimmy super kicks Sami.
Yeah.
By that point, because everybody's in shock for a moment, and Roman is just, the feelings of betrayal going all the way back to, 8-9 years ago.
Yeah.
All coming back to him. So he has to deal with that. So in the meantime, everybody's like, oh shit, this just happened. Jimmy super kicks Sami. And then the Usos, not the Usos, Jimmy and Solo proceed to beat the hell out of Sami.
Yeah.
Solo hits the spike. Roman at that point gets up. He starts hitting Sami with the chair, and Jay is in the corner like this.
He's a child. He's reverted to a child.
Head down. And Jimmy looks over and is like, what are you doing? And Jay doesn't say a word. He falls to the mat. He rolls out of the ring and walks up the ramp. And Roman yells at Sami, you destroyed my family. And then I think he hits Sami one more time. Jimmy hits another super kick on Kevin Owens. And so we have Sami on his back, arms out. Roman's, taking the lei that they were going to present to him for being an official member of the family had he passed this test.
Yeah.
He takes all the flowers off it, throws it on Sami. The Bloodline, Roman, Jimmy, Solo, leave, and we get the shot of Kevin Owens slumped over, handcuffed to the ropes. Sami just out on the mat.
Yeah, and the camera keeps on going to Jay, who's walking very slowly up the incredibly long ramp, the path, as the crowd just rains down with "F you Roman" chants. just absolutely man, the one thing there had the Triple H era so far, short as it's been, it hasn't been without its missteps.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing he does phenomenally, and between him and his writing team, whoever's orchestrating this stuff, are match finishes and story beats.
Mm-hmm.
And this incorporates both those things. You look at both the Rumble match finishes tonight, they were incredibly different. Cody and Gunther did the thing where they had a mini match, whereas over on the other side, you basically had, a triple threat elimination type situation that was just perfectly orchestrated.
Yeah.
And you can go back, you can see this on Raw, on SmackDown, and everything. Generally speaking, the match finishes, especially for big matches, you can look at the Edge, Finn Balor, when Beth Phoenix got hit. Another moment that was just jaw-dropping in the drama. I mean, and this is, man, I honestly don't know, at least to this point, if there is a better story ever told at least in modern pro wrestling, in televised national pro wrestling.
No,
I cannot think of one.
I think at this juncture, this has to be tops. There's still the final act that needs to be completed. I guess it's possible there could be a ball drop here. I don't know how.
Yeah.
If the reports are to be believed that we're gonna get Sami versus Roman in Montreal at Elimination Chamber, you'd think maybe that would be the path for them to. It would make all the sense that with Elimination Chamber in both Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn's hometown, that's where the reconciliation between them could potentially happen. And with Jimmy aligning firmly with Bloodline, with Jay torn, I suppose it's possible you could still lead to the tag match for the tag titles between Sami and Kevin Owens against the Usos. Potentially.
No, I think it is. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was silent because I was trying to think of, because that's what I was thinking when the Usos just annihilating Kevin Owens with those super kicks. But dude, here's the thing. This is why I think that's incredibly possible, because you've got those complex dynamics.
Yep.
Will that match tear the Usos apart? Like, is that match not just for the tag titles, whichever tag titles going to be defended? Because I don't even know who's on which brand. I know Kevin Owens is supposed to be Raw, Sami Zayn
on SmackDown. I know.
SmackDown, I think.
It's all kind of nebulous and fuzzy.
And I guess it doesn't matter. But there are a lot of dynamics at play. Sami and Jay being okay and on the same side. Jay's not going to just hate Sami at this point.
Nope.
There's going to be some conflict.
Sami saw the good in him.
Sammy saw the good in him, but also Sami did what Jay couldn't do. He took it to the tribal chief and sacrificed everything. Jay didn't sacrifice everything. He ended up under the thumb. He had to bow before the tribal chief, and in the end, Sami didn't do that. So there's a lot going on there.
There really is.
And I think that story, the importance of the Usos title reign, the record-breaking title reign, I think is enough to warrant a big match that will shift their dynamic, whatever that is. And Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, I think at this point, 2 days ago, yesterday, 6 hours ago, I was like, yeah, that seems like small fry. At this point, shit, man, it doesn't even have to be for the titles. You know what I mean? I mean, I think the titles in this case is highly representative of the Usos and their relationship and all this. But yeah, I see that as absolutely an emotional, show-stealing match would be Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Versus the Usos.
And having Jay be conflicted about, is he going to be put in a similar situation that Sami was tonight by Jimmy to prove, prove to Jimmy, are you with me or not? Are you committed to keeping this title reign going and keeping this team together or not? And Jay, ever since he got introduced to, he was Roman's first feud after he came back. Ever since Roman came back and he started a feud with Jay. Jay has been doing awesome work. And I can't wait to see if he's put in that position, what he ends up doing.
No, absolutely, dude. This whole thing is it's super compelling. It is edge of your seat shit, and you love to see it. I don't know. I don't know how many more of these we're going to get with Triple H at the helm, given that the company's probably going to be sold within 5 months. But hey, if it's Comcast, I have no doubt that they'd probably say, hey, you take, you keep it going if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I don't know, man, maybe if the Saudi government, if they end up keeping it, I think there's a possibility if they just keep on running it, that Raw rating was really good. Maybe Vince will be like, hey, you know what? You're doing a good job. Everybody's saying this is great stuff. We don't want to revolt. We don't want to drop in viewership. Just keep doing it. I don't know how that's all
I don't know either.
out.
I don't know. I mean, the reports we've gotten thus far about Vince is that he's back in the office because it's working. He's on a 9-to-5 schedule.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And he's focusing on selling the company. So if his goal in all this is simply to sell the company and then he'll walk away, then
yeah,
it's entirely possible, regardless of who buys it.
Yeah, right.
There's a chance that we can get Triple H to remain in charge and maybe get more stories like this because damn.
And I do think, dude, I really do think there is time, especially if because I was sort of doubtful about this. However, and I don't know if it bodes well for Cody if he is going to take on Roman at WrestleMania. I just don't know. But I think that there is plenty of story. We have 2 months before WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of time to rope Cody into a Roman feud that is satisfying. Mm-hmm. I mean, if this doesn't give you the benefit of the doubt, I don't know what will. The idea that, Cody just coming in, that was my words too. Cody coming in and doing the Roman thing. Well, they have 2 months to build it. And at this point, Sami and Kevin Owens, it might be more interesting to see them take on the Usos.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I the whole thing is very compelling, and I'm excited to see where it goes from here, man. It's been a while. This entire thing has been a situation where it had been a while, especially towards the last couple of years of Vince's reign, when I was really like, man, yeah, I can't wait to watch wrestling. It's like, hey, I always enjoy it. There are times when it can be crappy, but by and large, I generally enjoy wrestling. But these days, I'm actually pretty geeked out to check it out on Mondays and Fridays.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the possibility exists that they do decide to split the titles, and Cody will challenge, or they'll crack. I don't know exactly how they're going to go about doing it. Mm-hmm. Determining who's going to be WWE champion. Mm-hmm. Roman keeps the Universal. I mean, I guess here's a possibility.
Yeah, throw it out there.
How about rather than doing Roman Sami at Chamber, Roman be like, I'm done with him. What has he ever done to deserve a match with me? Blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And maybe we get Sami Roman at WrestleMania. You come up with a story situation where Roman beats Sami, but at the end, maybe that's when we get the reconciliation between Sami and Kevin Owens. Mm-hmm. And so while Sami doesn't win, you have his journey come full circle.
I get the feeling that we're going to get that at Chamber. I mean, if the rumor is correct, I think it's going to be the thing where, Roman, he might say I'm done with you, but I get the feeling that it's going to be, Roman will say, hey, you really think you can hang with me? And he takes him on at the Chamber for whatever reason. Mm. And then he does the thing where, the Bloodline beats him down and Kevin Owens comes out and makes
totally. That makes all the sense. Where I'm saying, if you want to push on that and you don't have Rock for WrestleMania, you don't want to insert Cody kind of ham-fisted into the story, you could split the titles, Cody do his own thing for the WWE title, and save Sami and Roman till Mania.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
You give Sami that moment.
Yeah.
And he may not win, and that's going to be a bummer for the fans, but I think if he loses, but we still have an emotionally satisfying beat at the end for him.
Dangerous ground, my friend.
It is dangerous ground, but I think so much of what Sami's story over the last 6 months, whatever, since he kind of joined up with the Bloodline, has been about people. He wants respect. Mm-hmm. He wants respect. He wants acceptance. Mm-hmm. He wants to feel like he's a part of something.
Yeah.
Going all the way back to the conspiratorial days. His thing was like, see, I'm right. Respect me. I'm right about this. I want you to validate my point of view. He's looking for validation. Mm-hmm. And he thinks he has it with the Bloodline, but they don't. I mean, apart from Jay, Roman doesn't respect Sami.
To to sort of to play along with that, the one thing that Roman obviously hates more than anything is the betrayal. You know?
Yep.
I think Roman could stand even losing the titles as long as, if the Bloodline, fuck up on accident and he loses the titles, that's less egregious than him winning the titles and then betraying him. You know what I mean? That's how Roman, that's how I feel this is going. And Sami has done the worst thing that he could possibly do, is that he has fractured the Bloodline.
Yeah.
And the idea of Roman winning, but the Bloodline falling apart by the end of that match somehow, some way.
Yeah.
With Roman devastated after a win.
Yeah.
Could be the thing. I have no idea how they'd orchestrate it, but goddamn, what we saw tonight, I didn't see that coming either.
I know.
I mean, I kind of called it in a way. It was Roman Reigns saying, "Hey, take a chair to Kevin Owens."
No, we talked about that scenario earlier. After they said what the test's going to be. We both said he's going to try to have Sami do something really dastardly.
Yeah. But gosh darn, that was a hell of an execution there.
I can't remember who posted a lot of those. Someone has done a really good job of encapsulating so much of the Sami Kevin Owens story on Twitter with little clips and stuff, and it escapes me who has been doing that. I could see their avatar, their little picture in their Twitter thing, but I can't remember the name. And also Will Washington has done a lot of has tweeted some stuff about this too, in terms of Sami's motivations for a lot of this stuff. So I'm gonna give credit where credit's due. People doing a lot of great work. We watch wrestling and we ingest it. We love the stories involved, especially this one. But some of the little details about references to matches prior, unless you've really just recently studied it, you might not think about those things. And it's nice to have people there that are on top of it and filling in those gaps.
Yeah, sure.
Because it really fills out the full breadth of what they're doing with this stuff, because it's phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to point this out here really quick. YouTube channel member Scott Martin, member for 10 months now, says top 10 Rumble event of all time for me because me and my oldest daughter bonded over the women's matches. That's always an awesome thing, man. I took Bama to that Action Coast, or Lacey took her rather, while I was doing stuff, and man, she was into it. So if you can bond with your kid over it, that's pretty good stuff.
Yep, it is.
Otherwise, yeah, like I said, Cody Rhodes picked up the win in the men's Rumble, and yeah, are they going to split? I could totally see. Yeah. Like I can literally see in my head Cody Rhodes tomorrow in a promo saying he wants the WWE Championship.
Yep.
Not the Universal. He wants to do it for Dusty.
Yep. He wants to do it for Dusty because that's the title with the lineage. Yes, I could totally see that happening.
I could see that happening. And yeah, I think maybe they'll probably end up getting that done. I don't know. Maybe it'll be, I don't know. If you look at what happened last night with how brutal the attack on Kevin Owens was, you could see hopefully Triple H, not Pierce, because you need somebody a little higher up the chain, to come in there and say, hey, we're going to split these titles here. But yeah, no, Cody won the Rumble, an incredibly fun Rumble. And dude, to contrast it, both the men and women's Rumbles from last year, I thought that the women's Rumble, especially with the return of Asuka, from that moment really kicked it up a notch. Yeah. Yeah. Like until then, it was fairly standard, but once Asuka showed up in the clown makeup, as a lot of people understand, before she was Asuka, she was Kana, and that's the persona it seems we're getting now. It was just absolutely an amazing moment.
It was great.
Didn't end up winning, but I do appreciate also that her being involved in the finish, misting Liv Morgan, and then Rhea Ripley able to take them both out. And the last shot we saw of Asuka was her laughing about it.
Yes.
With the blue mist all over her face.
Maggie, of course, Maggie's our champion. She says the Twitter account you're thinking of is @MythGifts, and I believe that's the one.
Thank you, Maggie.
Thank you, Maggie,
so much
for looking that up. Because yes, the MythGifts been doing awesome work going back, showing the references their matches have been making to previous bouts.
So according to some people here in chat earlier, Rhea Ripley was on the post-show press conference. She said she's not sure which one she takes on, but Larson, I'm telling you, I'd love to see a Rhea versus Bianca and Asuka taking on Charlotte at WrestleMania, getting that win back that she lost back at 34 or whatever it was.
34. 32.
Yeah.
32.
32.
32, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe it was 34. I don't know. My memory.
32 was the crappy one with Triple H and Roman. I don't think that was the one.
So it was 34 then.
I think it was 34, yeah.
34, that sounds right. No, it would be great if she could beat Charlotte on a huge stage because I don't think it's ever happened.
Yeah. The men's Rumble was very it was number one, was very meaty. Lots of the big men in this Rumble, and the stories, I was gonna say, contrasted to last year where Shane McMahon came in and wrote a bunch of the stories that they were building out of it.
The existing script and then just did what he wanted to do. Yeah,
we had plenty of stories in this year, in both of this year's Rumbles, including the return not just of Asuka, but we had Edge returning in the men's Rumble to take on Judgment Day. We had Beth Phoenix show up and extract a little bit of revenge on Rhea Ripley, not enough to hinder her from winning the entire Rumble after coming in at number 1.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there's all sorts of stuff going on.
Yeah, and before we get into the match-by-match breakdown, I do want to talk one thing about the men's Rumble specifically, because I thought it was really smart that they had the final two be Cody and Gunther, because what's Gunther's thing? Destroying chess.
Yeah, dude.
And the first thing Gunther did,
my surgery,
continually went back to it, was target Cody's his pectoral that he had torn. By the end of the match, it wasn't quite as bruised and as purple, not anywhere close as it was when he took off his coat at Hell in a Cell last year, but it was purple. And those two guys, in the span of about 10 minutes, put on a hell of a bout. Yeah. Which, if you took it out of the Rumble, had nothing to do with the Rumble, you'd be like, damn, that was a good match.
I know.
But the fact that Gunther is in the ring a whole hour before that, and this is Cody's first match back in 8 months or whatever it is.
You know, impressive. Dude, impressive. I get the feeling Triple H, he's taking certain people and he's making them, in a word, non-expendable. You know, it's like he's making sure these dudes, they're not WWE's night. I don't care if Vince comes back to creative or what. They ain't getting rid of Gunther. I mean, dude, this guy is he is giving him the spotlight and he's running with him and he's showing everybody why he is who he is.
Yep.
I thought my only criticism of the men's match, we can just go ahead and start it. It started with the men's match. The smallest criticism is when Brock and Gunther had seemingly such a small window to do some shit. I feel like Gunther, I don't know if he was trying a bit too much with the character stuff or if he was legitimately tickled to have a face-off with Brock Lesnar, but they waited forever to get into their shit. And like Gunther seemed to be kind of hemming it on and then finally said, come on, hit me. And then they got like one hit in and they didn't really explore.
I wonder if it's a situation where, I'm sure they're told, hey, you're gonna have a face-off. Milk it. Get the crowd into it.
That could be. You
know, because you saw that several times. People have a face-to-face, and they kind of stand around, look at the crowd. Just throwing hands right away. It seemed like literally like Gunther stepped up to Brock, and he was about to raise up his hand to chop him, but then he put it down.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing just the idea was like, hey, you got to milk this. Milk it.
Yeah.
So, men's Rumble was tons of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, no. So, like we mentioned, shout out to Chris Garrix also for doing our
fantastic notes.
Rumble
Chris,
notes.
so much.
It's got to feel a lot better, right? Because I've noticed when you're watching, you don't have to do this. Clack, clack, clack.
I know.
Clack.
I can actually react to things. I know.
It's kind of nice. Anyways, it only took us 9 years to get there, but we're there.
I'm a creature of habit. What can I tell you?
It's hard to get out of the habit sometimes.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
I know.
It is.
Anyway, so yeah, Gunther was number 1. Sheamus was number 2. Who doesn't want to see that? Of course, those guys just, go into it hardcore. Miz comes out at number 3, basically just to eat everybody's shit, which Miz is really good at in the crowd.
Yeah,
loves.
he is. And his chest was hamburger by the time he was out.
And the crowd loved every bit of that hamburger.
Yep.
Kofi came down. The notable Kofi thing, there was a great bit with Kofi, and a little bit later on, Xavier Woods came out. One, Johnny Gargano was after that, Xavier Woods after that. But there was a moment where everybody's laid out, and Xavier Woods and Kofi were face to face. So they're like, all right, we're going to start throwing. We're going to throw. Then they did a weird thing where like Kofi ended up doing, I don't even know how to describe.
So I believe Woods picked up Kofi in kind of like a wheelbarrow. And then Kofi dipped his head between Woods's legs.
Right.
So that Kofi's rear end was sticking in the air.
Yeah.
So what Xavier Woods started slapping Kofi's rear end.
They just both start slapping each other's rear ends.
Kofi reached up and slapped Woods' rear end.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a great little comedic
It was fantastic.
Johnny Gargano came out with some Kang gear. The Ant-Man movie's coming out soon, and Johnny Gargano loves that Marvel stuff. Let's see here. Karrion Kross came out next. He ended up getting eliminated by...
Is it Gunther?
maybe he had like an okay showing for a second.
Yeah, he wasn't in very long, though, I don't feel like.
Gable was out at number 8. Drew McIntyre came out at number 9, and there was an awesome, the entire Rumble from that point on was
Drew eliminated Karrion Kross after about 4.5 minutes in the ring.
Thank you. Drew McIntyre and Sheamus, the formerly known as the Banger Brothers.
We can still call them that. Their relationship is so cool.
It really is. It's so much fun. I hope
We're really
eventually
looking out for each other.
They just give him a tag title run, because it could be like, remember how fun the bar was? The bar was. So yeah, it was just them looking out for each other and just, beating up everybody. At no point, I don't think they never they never fought each other.
Nope.
I think they both ended up getting eliminated at the same time by Gunther, I want to say, but I don't even know that's true.
Yeah.
Do you remember who it was? Do you remember how that worked? I don't know how it worked.
Here, I can find out.
Anyways, there's a lot of notes here, so it is what it is.
Gunther eliminated Sheamus and Drew, yeah.
Okay. Hey, look at that. Look at my...
we don't have to go through all the entrants. We got a bit between Lashley and Lesnar.
The thing that I like about this is that it's sort of, whenever I see a name, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that this happened, that happened.
Yeah. Lesnar came in at 12. Lashley right after. Lashley eventually eliminated Brock.
Eventually, after about 3 minutes, Brock was quick. Shortest elimination up until that point was Brock.
Yeah, but then Baron Corbin came out, and so Brock was upset about being eliminated. So he hit Baron with an F5 on the floor, then went back over by the ring steps, picked up the ring steps, and threw him on top of the announce table. He was having a massive fit, and then he left through the crowd.
That was terrifying. Yeah.
And so Seth finally comes down at 15. He puts Baron in the ring, stomps him, and then throws him over the top rope.
So according to Wikipedia, Baron Corbin had a 6-second stint in the Rumble.
Not the shortest this year, though.
But then in the Women's Rumble, Chelsea Green, the returning Chelsea Green, had a 4-second run in the Rumble.
Yeah. At 17, we got Ray, or so we thought.
Nope.
No one made their entrance. 18, Dom. He had Ray's mask, so he probably beat him up.
Yeah, that's sort of the indication you'd think. I wasn't really paying attention much to commentary, but it seems like an obvious story beat that Ray got beat up in the back. I expected to see Rhea come out with Ray over her shoulder or something like that, but maybe he simply didn't make the show. I have no idea. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? Once Judgment Day all got in the ring, they went on a run. They were eliminating people until Edge came in at 24. I think he single-handedly eliminated everybody from Judgment Day.
He did.
But eventually he gets eliminated by Priest.
He didn't.
And Balor.
Yeah, he didn't eliminate Dom. I don't think.
No.
Dom stayed in for a spell.
Yeah, he was in for a while because he eliminated Edge. Edge eliminated Priest and Finn, but then Finn and Priest pulled him out.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
That's right.
Yeah, Dom didn't get eliminated for a little bit longer. Until Cody came in.
Shucky ducky, quack quack, Larson.
Yeah, it was cool. Booker T got in there.
Number 21.
Pre-show panel.
Yeah, dude. And this dude, it's like a time machine. He just hasn't aged. He's in phenomenal shape.
Fantastic shape.
We got a Spinneroonie, but fairly quickly after that, he was eliminated. A-Town down at number 25. He was in it for a while. I think he was like in the final 5, wasn't he?
He was in the final 5.
He was in the final 5.
Yeah,
Amos came out, didn't eliminate shit. He was my pick in the. Oh, by the way, you should probably mention this. We'll post this on Patreon and YouTube channels, the membership stuff. But so I'm assuming some point in the next 48 to 72 hours, you'll be tabulating the votes.
Have you been able to tell? I've been tabulating as we've been doing this recap.
That's not shocking to me. I know you get antsy about stuff like that when there's.
I'm not going to say who has the high score so far. It's no longer Enforcer and I.
What is the number?
The number is 25.
Whoa, because you guys were at 17 and I was at 16, I think, right?
Yeah, but that was before the Roman match. So
right. Okay.
Enforcer and I both topped out at 22. So right now, Enforcer and I, we're tied for second still. Okay.
But then there's one person who is actually right now. Wow. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to have a new champion, Larson.
Yep.
So anyways, Braun Strowman eliminates Moss, I think.
Yeah, that's correct.
And Braun has a pretty decent run. Ricochet comes out, and him and Braun work together again.
Yeah,
we didn't see anybody in the men's Rumble.
I don't think there's any betrayals. No,
there were no betrayals.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, Yeah.
Nope.
And then at 29, despite his fantastic performance at Crown Royal, Logan Paul came out at 29.
In full heel mode, no less.
And, well, look, man. Look.
Well, I mean, the crowd has already always like looked upon him as heel, but he
could have been given every fucking person in that place like an ice cream sandwich or something. He could be doling out gift cards to Starbucks. People would still fucking hate that guy.
I know, but he was playing into it this time. That's the point.
Yeah, I don't think he had much of a choice. He did have probably one of the best spots of the actual night. Him and Ricochet did this insane springboard clash where they're on opposite sides of the ring and they springboard in and just
met in the middle.
And it was
crazy.
Phenomenal.
It was crazy. Phenomenal. So Logan kind of disappears from the match for a little bit till the final four.
He doesn't actually get eliminated.
No, not then. No. And then Cody at 30 got a good pop. And then so he goes on a run. He eliminates a few people. He eliminates Logan Paul. He eliminates Braun, Theory, Dom. So the final two is him and Gunther.
Yeah.
And as mentioned, Gunther just annihilating his chest with chop after chop after chop.
Yeah.
Cody ate two nasty power bombs, one from Braun earlier than one from Gunther here. I really didn't have much hope in Gunther pulling out the win here.
Mm-hmm.
But gosh darn it, by the end of this, when he was utterly annihilating Cody.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Like, oh, come on. Come on, Gunther.
Get the win here. Walter's great, man. Look at him. Doesn't even look like the same person.
I know.
All right. Look at his big chopping hands right here, dude.
I know.
Yeah, man. No, it was a really, really good finish. Just two guys putting on a killer match.
Yeah, it was really good. So Gunther hits a chop, looks for a power slam. Cody reverses that to across the Rhodes and hits a clothesline that sends Gunther to the floor. Cody F and Rhodes gets the win.
Yeah, man. Good stuff.
Apparently, Gunther set the record 1 hour, 11 minutes, 42 seconds.
Does that beat the Greatest Rumble?
I guess so.
Is that even canon anymore? Are we counting that? Well, it depends on what happens this summer.
I mean, whenever they do the Royal Rumble recap by the numbers, they always show Titus when he falls. So at least that's canon.
Yeah, they do. But I also feel like they ignore some of the numbers from that Rumble. I don't know. Anyways.
Well, here, let's see what I say. An hour, 11 minutes. Go ahead and move on to the next match.
Next match.
I'll see what Daniel Bryan's time was in that one.
Let's see here. There's also
hold on.
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan, 1 hour, 16 minutes, 5 seconds.
And what'd you say Gunther's was?
1 hour, 11 minutes. So maybe the idea is in a standard Royal Rumble, maybe. Gunther has a record because the Greatest Rumble had 50 participants in it. So it's just a longer match.
Yeah, I think this is not even canon.
All right,
anymore,
so yeah, apparently it broke the traditional record.
Look,
that Ray had.
Braun Strowman never defended his Greatest Royal Rumble title in any other Royal Rumble. So, anyways. Oh, man, I can't wait. Let's talk. Yeah. So, also, people noted, although I didn't notice it, so I'd have to take another look, but apparently Cody did some Bullet Club stuff after the match. Yeah. Anyways, we had Bray Wyatt versus LA Knight.
Yeah.
In a pitch black match. We were wondering, Larson, what's a pitch black match?
It seemed like a pretty standard no DQ type bout. However, it's under black light.
Yeah.
They have a bunch of glowy stuff.
The ring ropes were glowy.
Yeah.
The mat was kind of glowy a bit.
Cups filled with stuff that when it spilled, it would be like Volt-colored glowy stuff everywhere.
It was like sticky little pieces of paper or something. I don't know. It didn't spill like paper. That was weird.
Yeah.
I thought, I'll be honest with you, my expectations were dirt low.
Yeah.
I thought this was going to be worse than the Mania 33 match.
Yeah.
The Orton one.
But it wasn't.
It wasn't because, number one, they kept it really short. It was like a 7-minute match.
Here, let me get the exact
Yeah, do you have Wikipedia still up there?
I will, 1 second.
Yeah, this is Berman here on our Twitch chat as a riot. It was like basically cosmic bowling.
It was Rocket Bowl. Yeah. And it was as matches go, 7 minute, 5 minutes, 5 seconds. Yes. Told you to keep it under 6.
That's great. There you go. But as far as 5-minute matches go, visually, It was not. It looked cool. Like
it looked awesome.
I don't want 15 minutes of this,
Nope.
but for 5 minutes, LA Knight was wearing some very obnoxious sort of Volt stuff that glowed perfectly in this environment. Bray Wyatt also had a lot of cool face paint that only showed up when the black light was on it. So he comes out and it just looks like he's got like some raccoon makeup on his eyes. And then they do the blacklight thing, and he does the creepy behind, arcing his back thing on the ropes. And then LA Knight gets a look at his face, and we get a look at his face, and oh man, it is elaborate and cool. There's like a 6 on it, the Wyatt 6, whatever that is. And he looked awesome. He looked really cool. He looked kind of like it's sort of a Jeff Hardy type vibe to it, especially with the blacklight. And they had a match. They went through the table. They did some cool stuff. It was just some spots.
Yeah, it was fine. There's kendo sticks involved with giant glow sticks in them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bray gets the win with Sister Abigail, and afterwards, they end up. So after the match is over, it looks like Bray put a mask on then.
Yeah.
Mask, and you can really get a good look out of it. But there's like red stuff that kind of glowed. And so he and Knight are ringside. Knight's hitting them with the kendo. And eventually they end up back where like the production area is.
Yeah, right.
And eventually Bray puts the mandible claw on him.
Yeah.
And then Uncle Howdy shows up on this platform.
Mm-hmm.
He shows up, he's holding his lapels, and he's kind of sizing up where LA Knight is.
But Larson, his body language was also a little bit hesitant. He didn't have quite the boisterous
swagger you would imagine. One named Uncle Howdy normally would, yes.
And we realize why. It's because he wanted Uncle Howdy to jump off the platform he showed up on and through LA Knight, who's there on the thing. Yeah. And he looked the body language is so hesitant, but he did it, and he missed
LA Knight by a mile.
By a mile, dude. By a mile. It was actually pretty funny. And they honestly, for as much credit as we do give Kevin Dunn for capturing story beats, you could look at the post-main event sequence night for that. They needed to bring that camera a little bit lower for this because you could see it. Yeah. You could see it was so clear.
Yeah, it was off by a little bit. Then when upon impact there was fire that shot up and stuff like that. So
here we go. Dex here in Twitch chat has it. Cody kissed his hand while doing a too sweet, then did a gun hand sign for a second, then pointed with one finger to the Mania sign. So Kenny Omega confirmed coming to WWE.
Oh wow, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely.
My goodness.
Anyways.
So after Uncle Howdy goes through that thing with LA Knight, next we have Alexa Bliss versus Bianca Belair. So we're wondering, how would Uncle Howdy play into this match? The answer, didn't. At least not during the match itself.
No, and even barely afterwards.
Yeah, this video on the Tron. This was a good match. They were working snug. It's a physical bout. Early on, especially, Alexa was, because we've seen several times with Bianca where if someone grabs her braid, like that seems like set her off into another level,
Yeah,
like,
sure.
You don't mess with my hair. And this was like the first match where someone actually used her braid consistently, and Bianca didn't have much recourse. It wasn't like she was able to to grab it away and like hit him with it or anything like that. We didn't see that, but there was a point during the match where Bianca turns the tables and leads to a KOD to get the win. And it was after that. So actually, the finish saw Bliss hit double knees, standing senton for a 2, looks for a suplex. Bianca blocks that. Alexa's looking for a Sister Abigail, and Bianca evades that to get the KOD to get the win.
Mm-hmm.
And then afterwards, Bliss is in the ring, and then Uncle Howdy stuff shows up on the Tron.
Yeah.
You think you're in control.
You think you're in control is what he was saying. I thought that technically the match was just fine.
I thought it was a solid bout, yeah.
I thought that the build to this was just weak, and so I wasn't invested in it. It's like you can have a match that is fine solidly, but the stuff with Alexa Bliss where I'll put it this way. when Bray Wyatt has a feud where he's just rambling about nothing, which, I mean, I guess, look, LA Knight is in this feud, LA Knight makes everything entertaining, right?
Yes.
But this feud with Bianca Belair has just suffered because the Alexa Bliss stuff is just your run-of-the-mill Bray Wyatt's not going anywhere stuff. And you can have a match that's fine technically. This was technically a fine match, but it's really difficult to get invested into it. And so honestly, this was a match where I was like, you know what? They're doing fine work in there, but I'm just glad that they're done with it. I hope they're done with it because I'm much more interested in like if Rhea Ripley's going to come after Bianca Belair sooner than later. And I think it was reflected with the crowd. I know the crowd had just gone through the pitch black match, but if this was a story that I think they had worked to invest us in, you would have seen a much bigger crowd reaction. So, I think that those kind of things are important to point out.
Yeah, definitely. After that, we had the Women's Rumble. Started out with Rhea at 1, holding her ribs from the attack Beth gave her. The spear Beth gave her on the floor.
Yeah, it was nothing. It was nothing to Rhea Ripley, man.
And then Liv Morgan at 2. Liv really wanted to be number 1.
Yeah.
But instead had to settle for number 2. But they both made it till the end.
Yeah, the first Women's Rumble to have a number 1 last and win to the end. The men have done it, 3 times?
Edge did it.
HBK did it.
Shawn did it.
Ray did it.
I think Ray came in 2 that year, but I could be wrong.
That's a quibble that I can't stand. I can't stand that. He starts the match, he finishes the match. That should be enough. If you have a guy, that really bugs me. If you're going to have a guy win the match, why would you have him come out at number 2? That's so dumb. That's so irritating.
I know.
But yeah, anyways, Rhea Ripley ran the entire thing. She won the thing. And yeah, we had Dana Brooke, we had Emma, we had Shayna Baszler, Bayley came out, B-Fab from Hit Row came out. NXT did not show up in the Men's Rumble. They had several in the Women's Rumble, including NXT champion Roxanne Perez. She had a really good showing for as long as she was in it. She was laying out a lot of people. All the faces at that point, after she came in and did some stuff, started ganging up on Bayley. So I was thinking, man, she really needs some damage control out. Sure enough, Dakota Kai and Io Sky are numbers 9 and 10, and then Damage Control go on a bit of a run. They start eliminating people.
They do. They actually early on led the count for most eliminations until Rhea went on a run at the very end. And then they were going on a serious run until Becky came in at 15. And then so there was a brawl on the floor with Becky and Damage Control where Damage Control took her out for a spell, and they kind of resumed their dominance of the match, and that's till Asuka came in at 17. She came in with a new mask during her entrance. She took that off, had the Kana makeup on.
Yeah.
Incredible. And early on, she dominated, a good 5 minutes right after she made her entrance.
I feel like she should have dominated a bit more.
Like the rest of the match, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. Because people were not selling as much as they should have for her, and then she was selling.
I will say this.
People.
I will say this: when she came in the ring with the new the face paint and stuff, everybody sold that moment. Like Tegan Nox looked like she about crapped her paint.
Oh, big time, yeah, big time.
And so I appreciate that they were like, "Oh, we're in trouble now." They sold the moment at least when she came into the ring.
This is a good point here. I want to pause here because this applies to both the men's Rumble and the women's Rumble. Maggie says one thing I want to highlight: the women's Rumble is that they only had Michelle McCool. As the only returning legend, really showed us how much current talent we have and how much potential talent NXT is ready for the future. The point I'd like to sort of piggyback on that is they used the talent that they have. And one thing that I mentioned before is you got to look at where Triple H is coming from. This dude, cut his teeth, made his name in the Attitude Era and then the Ruthless Aggression Era, where there wasn't a lot, especially in the Attitude Era, because all the nostalgia acts were in WCW. They ran with who they had, and they understood back then, you got to build people now, and you got to feature them now. And both matches, both Rumble matches, they use their people who are there every single week right now. And that's what you need to do if you're going to build stars, if you're going to build new superstars. You have to do that. You cannot always rely on 15 legends to come in limping down that long ramp.
I know.
And get that, one-time kind of pop just because they're a name. As much as I think it would have been cool to see Chris Masters versus Bobby Lashley, I'd rather that spot go to somebody who's in the company right now telling those stories, man.
Exactly. So at 18, we got Piper Niven. It's good that Piper got her name back. Of course, used to be Dewdrop.
Yeah, man, that was awesome.
And she went on a good run when she got into the ring. Tamina at 19, then the returning Chelsea Green. She got in the ring, was immediately eliminated by Rhea Ripley.
Did you mention Zoe Stark yet?
I did not. Zoe Stark entered at 7?
She was at 13.
13, sorry.
And she had a really good showing as well. She did. I get the feeling she's probably going to be on main roster soon. There was so much chatter during it was when Shawn Michaels was and all his friends were choosing who was going to be in that one Iron Eliminator match. And there was a lot of chatter then, and then I've just noticed afterwards, whenever people talk about it, they're always like, yeah, she should be on main roster. I get the feeling she's probably just going to be on main roster sooner than later.
That could be. She's a phenomenal wrestler.
Yeah. No, she is. She had a great showing. Her strikes are so good. Her stuff is just so on point. We already mentioned Chelsea Green showed up at 20 and was out within 4 seconds. Zelina Vega did a Street Fighter integration where she was Jury. Jury? I don't know. I never really
I was never really a Street Fighter.
Yeah, same.
Player.
Wasn't even really a Mortal Kombat guy, to be honest. It's weird. Like kids of they were, teens of the 90s. You'd think that we'd have been in that stuff, but
yeah, that was like when fighting games were huge,
my thing is that I sucked at them. Every time I tried to play, I'm like, number one, my hands hurt. Number two, like there's too many combos.
There is. And I'm used to like direction one button, not a combination of things. I can't do that.
Grapple strike. That's all you need.
It really, truly is. Strike, grapple.
Or grapple, strike. Oh, you think I'm going to grapple a third time? Wrong. Punch you in the face.
Exactly. That's the strategy of WCW versus NWO World Tour right there.
We had Raquel Rodriguez at number 22. I think we both had her as...
All three of us had, you and I and Enforcer had her with most eliminations.
She had like one or so.
I think she had exactly one.
Mia Yim was in...
Two. She had 2.
Lacey Evans was at number 24. She had kind of a cool spot where she did the Cobra Clutch on Zelina Vega. Up on the corner, and then just sort of released her, and then she just fell, which looked pretty gnarly. Oh, another thing did we mention the Kofi Kingston spot?
No, not really.
Yeah.
Where there was a spot where he was, Walter Gunther, I think, knocked him off the apron. I think he's supposed to land it, and someone had rolled a chair, one of the office chairs over there. He's supposed to land that and do something. Took a pretty bad looking spill. I don't think we've heard an update.
Too much. Well, he tweeted. There was like too much, momentum. Yeah, exactly. Velocity going there.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So, we already mentioned Michelle McCool. That was kind of a cool spot. Like, they play her music, and they had already shown her during the men's rumble, sitting in the crowd with her kids. And she was eating some popcorn or whatever, and then they call her, and she's like, what, me? Okay. And then she, has her, gear ready to go underneath her clothes. So she was in there for a little while. Indy Hartwell also showed up in the women's rumble. She had a little bit of a moment before Sonya Deville eventually, I think, was the one to eliminate her. Shotzi came back from injury with her tank and a Michael Myers mask. She was eliminated by Nope. And Sonya. Wait. No.
Mia eliminated Shotzi.
Yes, that's right. Nikki Cross did her best Ultimate Warrior impression.
Oh, yeah. She sprinted down to the ring.
Sprinting to the ring down that long ramp. And then at number 30, to pretty much nobody's delight, in the crowd at least.
Yeah.
Or mine, Nia Jax.
Yeah.
Known here on the channel as Nia Vax. Showed up. And at least she wasn't in very long. She shows up. Everybody starts beating her up. And then eventually everybody eliminates her.
Yeah, everybody teams up to eliminate her. So she's out.
Yeah.
She's out.
So that leaves us with Nikki, Asuka, Liv, Rhea.
Yep, they're the final 4, yeah.
Yeah, so...
And pretty quickly, Nikki was eliminated, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Nikki was eliminated, and then they did a spot where Rhea, Liv, and Asuka were all on the apron So it's like, holy shit, this could go any way.
Yeah.
They did a bit where Rhea ducked while Asuka tried to miss her. It ended up hitting Liv Morgan, but Liv Morgan sort of reached out and hit a code breaker on Rhea Ripley. It didn't eliminate her. I think it was it
Rhea eliminated Asuka by doing like sweeping at her legs, and so she
That's
falls.
right. Yeah, that's right.
And then I think it's after that Liv hits the code breaker, and Rhea's holding onto the rope with her legs, almost touching the floor. Mm-hmm. And Liv comes over and starts, like punching and hitting Rhea's hands to try to get a release. And then Rhea kind of skins the cat, head scissors, sends Liv to the floor to get the win.
Yeah. Also, shout out to commentary. Pat McAfee came back for commentary. That was awesome. Great. They have so much fun. And I honestly don't think that Michael Cole knew. I mean, he claimed up and down. He was claiming up and down, oh, Con Man rated us with a party 130. Thanks, Con Man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Con Man.
He was swearing up and down that he did not know Pat McAfee was going to be there, and it really seemed like it. He seemed delighted.
Based on his reaction, like he heard his music and he got up from commentary, started looking to see if it was really Pat. Yeah, it definitely seemed like he did not know.
They had a great time, man. Let's see here. One
thing we should mention. Sorry, going back to the men's rumble.
Yeah, please.
So we had a quick little bit where Cody and Seth were working together, and they're about to have their own showdown.
Yeah, right.
And then Logan Paul comes in and eliminates Seth. Mm-hmm. So it looks like it might be getting Logan Paul versus Seth at WrestleMania.
It'll be a good match.
It will be a good match.
It'll be a good match. That's about all I can say about it, though. Mm-hmm. After that, oh man, highlight of the show, Larson. I'm sorry, I meant low light. Hardy.
Yeah, I didn't. I caught the last 15 seconds of it. The best 15 seconds.
I don't know. I had the earbud in for about 10 seconds of the song, and I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah,
I couldn't. Too old. Can't listen to that stuff. Anyways, yeah, it's not good. He thankfully only played one song.
Yeah.
And then we had our main event, Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns. And yeah, I mean, we talked about obviously the post-match stuff in detail. The match itself was, I'm not going to say typical Roman match. I mean, he won this without Bloodline help.
Yeah, there was no,
there was a ref bump and a low blow.
Yeah, he pushed out of a stunner,
Yeah.
The ref bump.
And then he did the gnarly thing on the outside where he started ramming, like throwing Kevin Owens, the back of his head, into like the edge of the steps.
I don't know how Kevin Owens does that. I have no idea how Kevin Owens does that. We've seen him do it before. This is the first time I think he's done it twice.
The margin of error for that, like the first time he did it, I swear he put his hand like this, and he's got the padded gloves on. So it's like, okay, maybe he knows where to put his hand. The second time, I swear, I could be wrong, I don't think he had his hand up there.
He did.
And it was just a matter of, okay, he knew where to position his head so it didn't like hit the edge. I don't know. It's crazy.
I don't know either. I don't know how he does that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not even considering like his back is hitting the corner of the ring steps.
I know, dude.
I don't know how he does that. I don't know. I have no idea.
The Roman he speared him through a barricade. They did that spot also, and that looked gnarly. Most barricade spots, they do it flush up against the barricade, but he was sort of draped over a little bit when he hit, and it looked ugly.
It did look ugly.
So yeah, I mean, basically, due to the punch to the dick, and
spear through the barricade and back of the ring hits the barricade.
Yeah. We did. Roman kicked out of a stunner.
Yeah.
But in the end, Roman gets the win with I don't know, it was like his second or third spear, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good match, but I think most of us were just waiting to see what happened after the match ended. Is we could have a huge story beat with Sami? Is The Rock going to show up? And that that kind of overshadowed, I think, the match maybe a little bit.
It did. I don't know. For me, it was that necessarily. It was. I mean, yeah, it was how is this all going to play out? But the match included, because part of me, and they gimmicked Sami's shirt, right? Mm-hmm. So that Roman, because in the end, at the end of the beatdown, Roman rips off the honorary Uce shirt. Yeah. And so they gimmicked it a little bit. You could see that. It's like, oh, is Sami going to do some weird thing where he reveals that he's, because Kevin Owens showed up at the arena today with a Sami Zayn Forever shirt.
Yeah.
From the Jackass feud. And I was like, oh, is he going to do a weird thing where he's got like a Kevin Owens shirt on?
Yeah.
So during the match, I'm like, is Sami going to do something here? Has he actually conspired with Kevin Owens? And that didn't happen. I think, yeah, like you're saying, that might have played into it a little bit, but also just the finish of the match in general did seem a bit anticlimactic. But perhaps this whole thing is measured out to then ramp up what we're about to see.
Yeah.
Which is just absolutely brilliant. It really is.
It really was. And it was, I mean, everybody, it looked like everybody in the Alamo Dome was they were standing up.
Yeah.
Proverbially, they're on the edge of their seats.
Though. Oh, dude, no, absolutely. This was
just fantastic.
It was just fantastic storytelling. So yeah, interested to see what happens Monday. It's nice not to say tomorrow on Raw. It's nice to say we get a day to cool off. I'm gonna watch this press conference tomorrow, and
I'm gonna watch some football tomorrow. See if the Eagles get that win.
There you go. Well, good luck with that. Anyways, that's going to do it for the stream today. Thanks, everybody, for the podcast today, I should say. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. Thank you for all the gifted subs.
Yes, thank you for so much.
The new channel members. I'm going to have in the ticker down here, read them off on Monday, all the new patrons, all the new channel members. The next Big Red Predictions Challenge will be for March 5th, AEW's Revolution. There's always going to be, I know there's going to be one 1 hour match on that card, but there's probably going to be, well, maybe with the Iron Man match, probably 10 matches. They might dial that back this year.
Oh, man. No, Tony Khan's going to double down. Just watch.
Our first 18 match card. Could be. Yeah, it could be. So that's going to be for that. So you can sign up now, patreon.com/Stephen Larson. The Big Red Predictions Challenge is not the only thing we have going on there, man. We got bonus episodes, questions thread over on the YouTube channel memberships. Of course, you guys can use those emotes for the live shows. You also get access to the bonus stuff. So check out patreon.com/Stephen Larson or click join on YouTube for the channel memberships. And till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.